Welcome to our series, Seeking the New Poetry. Today, I introduce to you the poetry of Tehmi, Masalawalla. I had the great blessing to know Tehmi for many years. The mother of the Sri Aurobindo ashram asked her to take the name Tehmi for her poetry. So as a poet, she is known as Tehmi. In the last years of her life, Tehmi asked me to be with her as much as possible. For at least a few years, I stayed with her at Golconda, spending often 7 hours a day until her passing. During this time, I was able to get her to tell the history of her life, her meeting with Sri Aurobindo, her many years with Mother, and teaching Savitri in the ashram school for 50 years. Sri Aurobindo commented very favorably on some of her poems, and it is an honor for me to read them and share with the world audience, all who love poetry, some of her poems. Seeking the New Poetry, Tehmi. It was another of Mother's great blessings to me to have known Tehmi as a friend and to be with her for some years, when she asked that I remain with her, her friend and companion, until her passing. In a series of articles published in the journal Mother India, I chronicled much of Tehmi's life, when she was mostly confined to her chair or resting on her bed. We would talk for hours of her youth, education, poetry, family, and most of all, Sri Aurobindo and Mother. The name Tehmi was chosen by Mother as the name she wished Tehmi to use for her poetry. Tehmi is the Greek goddess of justice and law. Tehmi's poetry, including many poems written before she came to the ashram, was given high praise by Sri Aurobindo. Here are Sri Aurobindo's words. The poems are remarkable, especially the later ones. They have power of revelatory image and phrase, and of expressing spiritual experience. Also, her later poems are very remarkably built. The thought is worked out in a perfect beginning, middle, and end, in a way which is not very common. Many poems contain a beautiful lyrical quality. The early poems, too, are very powerful expressions of the kind of experience she had, and as poetry, hardly inferior to the later ones. There are many remarkable lines and stanzas though they are not as well built as the later ones. And this is Amal's tribute, Amal Kiran, a clear ray, the name given by Sri Aurobindo. His full name, K.D. Setna. He writes, "You are a very fine poet. You have a genuine gift, spontaneously sustained over years, and some of your pieces are absolutely first-rate quality. And this quality is not only exquisiteness, there is a distinct vein of what must be called greatness. That is to say, the thought, the vision, the emotion have both weight and depth, and are carried to us on a rhythmic tone, bringing a touch of some infinite, which suggests a beyond to all that can be uttered. Often your expression is, as you have put it in your letter to me, quiet. But nobody can mistake your quietness for absence of the stately, the wide-ranged, the deep-plunging. No doubt your style is mainly lyrical, and not ostensibly epical, nor are you markedly dynamic as a rule. But there can be not only lyrical largeness coupled with intensity, but also a lyricism quietly commanding as well as intense, and such lyricism can, in addition, keep mostly its exquisiteness in front, without ceasing to offer its own greatness. Rarely are we given a glimpse into a poet's inspiration and how the muse comes to us. This unpublished letter, unfortunately torn off because Tehmi did not allow anything about herself or her family to remain in her letters, and shredded all things of a personal nature from her correspondence. The letter of Tehmi to the mother is so profound in its humility and expressed so beautifully that our souls cannot be but lifted by it. I have chosen about 50 poems and arranged them almost in chronologic. Tehmi writes, the first, February 21st night, records the experience of the darshan night and was written 2 days later, all at once. I had sent it to be read to my Lord, and the next day, line on line of poetry came whirling through my head. This went on for about 2 or 3 days, and the third night I sat up and wrote all the 5 poems that follow, dated February 48. The 3rd January 48 poems came almost all together when I was reading the first chapters of the synthesis. The 47 poems, that is 1947, were written here last year, and then also I used to feel a direct contact with my Lord. The April 1946 poems were written after my first darshan, as though from straight dictation. The other 1946 poems have some sort of semi-conscious contact with him also. I don't know what to say about the earlier ones, but when I read them, he seems to be already there. Last year, I had sent some of these poems to my Lord, and he said some encouraging words, which have given me courage to lay these pieces before you. Will my Lord have them read and say something about them? It is over long periods of time that a poem comes to me now, and I lose and weep for the beautiful touch of my Lord, which it always brings with it. Why has he forsaken me? Mother darling, some of the poems are addressed to you. Won't you read them sometime? Ever in deep love and gratitude, your child. The first poem that Tehmi refers to in her letter is appended here. 21st February night. The far voices of the earth die, and in the vast lone hush of being, thou foldest thy love around my cry. The worlds dissolve to darkness now, and in the gaps of emptiness we fly, beyond the farthest star hill's brow. Eons of memoried night unroll their cycles of changed karmic griefs and mirths across the winging of my soul. Thou bearest me past myriad births, fire wheels of death and destiny's control, to silent fashionings of new earths. A white day dawns upon the deep. The frozen rocks of space divide and free the warm gold mystery they keep. O power-winged love, thou bearest me o'er stone-black gulfs and endless mires of sleep, to sunlit havens of purity.